individual aspect, like individual to individual, or what you think. In this country, women are objectified. It's like, I'm sure Ben did not even think of asking me to pose for that picture.
I did, actually. Not you personally.
But, so I guess what I'm trying to understand is, and I'm going to throw it both, is how your approaches would affect. I think, Matt, that, we've tried the sacredness of marriage, the sanctity of marriage for thousands of years. Women are objectified in this society. And Hannah, I'm not clear on how your approach would make any difference to that. Is it just an individual approach, or is there also something that can come good for society out of this?
Let's go first.
I don't think that my approach is simply individual. I think that sex positivity is about creating and encouraging cultures and communities so that individuals are freer to make choices for themselves and have a variety of choices to make, a variety of viable choices. But I think those choices always happen in community. So that's number one. And number two, the question about women and objectification is a really important one, because a lot of people are very concerned about sex positivity and sexual culture, this sort of pornification in culture in general, because of what it does to women, or what it could do to women. I think that's where you sort of see in pornography that I would argue is sex positive, in images of women, in stories, etc., that portray women. I think that you would definitely sort of on an aesthetic level want to see a lot more agency from women talking about their experiences, women making their choices, and that way you're not dealing with a separate body or a collection of body parts, but a person with a will and a sexual will. So I think that speaks to what. Do I have more time to talk about this?
You have 40 seconds.
Okay, so that speaks to some of that. And I would argue too, I'm hesitant to speak for the whole movement, but I myself am deeply against any kind of sexualization, especially of young girls. Not because I think that sex is wrong or that or anything like that, but because I think that messes with their own personal sexual agency by laying over sort of a cultural idea of what sex should be and what their feelings around sex should be. So,
yeah, I think this is one area where we have lots of room for agreement. I've written recently a number of things against the sexualization of children, for instance. I think it's a horrendous problem, and it's definitely intimately linked with the objectification of women and the pornification of culture, I think Stephanie Kunz's term. One of the things that I think we have to realize is that we live in a world where sexual identity is often is often the identity that defines us, where we are defined as people in as much sort of by our sexual orientation. One of the reasons why I'm a Christian is because it offers aspects of our identity that are in fact non-sexual. And one of the reasons why I am so opposed to the sexualization of children is one of the things that children remind us of as a culture is that our humanity, our flourishing, is possible in sort of non-sexual ways, that we can be humans without acting or even being oriented sexually towards whatever sex we're oriented towards. So there's a minimization, I think, of our sexual identity that I think has to happen, and I think there are resources within Christianity, perhaps distinct resources within Christianity, to minimize that dimension, even while we affirm its intrinsic goodness and its sacredness. And that balance of saying this thing is sacred, but it's not everything, is, I think, the balance that I'm trying to walk there.